Now, when you call us for asset protection services, what happens? Okay, now we start by finding out what threats you're facing. We hear you out. We then tell you what we think we heard you say until we have a level of understanding about your situation. Next, we take a look at the assets that you want to protect. So we ask you the following questions. What do you have to protect? And what's each asset worth minus any loans you may have against each asset? Then based on that information, we create an asset protection plan that puts each asset into the proper slot. May it be an asset protection trust, LLCs, land trusts, and maybe we do some equity stripping so there's no value left in the asset for your opponent to take. And we have methods to allow us to do this very quickly. So we work with you to determine which legal tools offer the appropriate level of protection for your situation. Hi, I'm the business guy, the CEO of Asset Protection Planners. I've been in the asset protection business for over 30 years. We have attorneys on staff and are the nation's leading asset protection firm. I believe with over 80,000 clients in our database. So give us a call or fill out our free consultation form on our website if you have questions. And on that note, I have a question for you. Can you please help me out by clicking the like button below so YouTube promotes this video? Thank you so much. You can also click the subscribe button so that when more videos come out like this, you'll be up to date right away. Now, we establish domestic and international plans. Are you comfortable with international asset protection strategies? If not, should you be? Now, keep in mind that local judges have access to local assets regardless of their structure. Many a domestic asset protection plan is thwarted by results-oriented judges. So what if going international was the only practical means of protecting your assets? Now, keep in mind that it's the job of opposing counsel to poke holes in your defenses. Therefore, you put yourself in the driver's seat when you put your assets into properly crafted legal tools. And once you do, you have the option of keeping your assets locally or sending them on a little vacation overseas. Let's talk about banking protection. Global Finance publishes an annual list of the world's safest banks. On the latest update of the safest 50 banks in the world, guess how many are in the USA? Go ahead and take a guess. 47, 40, 28? Not even close. The answer is only 4. Yes, 4. And oh yes, they're all on the bottom half of the list. So the question is not, are your funds safe offshore? The question is, are they safe in the USA? After all, the US is the most in-debt country in the world. And this is glaringly clear when somebody is about to get a judgment against you and will use it to empty your US bank account. How safe is your money then? So by and large, opponents in war or opponents in lawsuits are unpredictable. General Norman Schwarzkopf said, war is like this. So you're sitting in the audience, the orchestra starts playing, and some son of a gun climbs out of the orchestra pit with a bayonet and starts chasing you around the stage. And then the choreography goes right out the window. Now, risk evaluation and asset protection service plan consultations are free. In fact, you can speak to a professional and get immediate answers right now by filling out our free consultation form at assetprotectionplanners.com. Okay, now the asset protection tools. There are a number of legal tools you can use depending on your circumstances. For example, you might need long-term estate planning, immediate asset protection, or both. Accordingly, we can help you structure your asset protection service plan so we consider your individual needs, preferences, and comfort levels. So in order to stand up in court, you need to make sure you have employed the properly established legal tools for each asset. You're best served doing this with a qualified, experienced asset protection planner. Asset protection plans often consist of multiple entities. This can include corporations, LLCs, partnerships, various types of trusts, as well as private bank accounts. These vehicles are selected and formed according to one's desired level of protection. And as we indicated, this often involves multiple legal jurisdictions, including foreign countries. The choices depend on each individual's needs. The asset protection services we'll talk about now are some of the tools used in various asset protection service plans. First, family limited partnerships. A properly established family limited partnership can provide a layer of protection between your assets and your creditors. As a result, pursuing the assets held in this entity is difficult. And as the laws have advanced, we do fewer LPs and more LLCs, which brings us to limited liability companies. Limited liability companies, or LLCs, are very common components of asset protection plans. They can provide a combination of asset protection and lawsuit protection. When somebody sues an LLC member, there are provisions in LLC statutes that protect the membership interest and the assets in the company from seizure. It also offers lawsuit protection, protecting the members when somebody sues the company. As such, they are often the preferred tool for owning real estate and stock market investments. In the United States, Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware currently offer preferable protection statutes. The problem is that with the increasing theories of legal liability, more judges are allowing foreclosures on members' interests in U.S. LLCs. And that's why we prefer international LLCs for asset protection. For example, Nevis and the Cook Islands offer superior asset protection over the U.S. counterparts. Suppose, for example, there's a judgment against you as a member of an LLC. If so, your opponent must get an additional court ruling for the right to distributions from the LLC, and this is called a charging order. The problem for your opponent is manifold. First, they cannot force you to make distributions to them. Second, they cannot jump in and become managers of your LLC. And third, since they have the right to receive the distributions from the LLC, according to the IRS, your opponent now has to pay taxes on the money they did not receive. That's according to Revenue Ruling 77-137. Fourth, with a Nevis LLC, the charging order would have to be enforced in Nevis, which makes your opponent post a bond before they can sue you. This bond can be $100,000, $200,000, or whatever the Nevis High Court demands. Fifth, they would have to bring the lawsuit to Nevis within 2 years of your moving the asset into the LLC. And sixth, if they do get a charging order against your LLC in Nevis, it expires in 3 years and cannot be renewed. And to keep a U.S. judge from trying to bypass the Nevis laws and force your hand on these things, we recommend putting your Nevis LLC into an international asset protection trust. So let's talk about asset protection trusts, also known as self-settled spendthrift trusts. Asset protection trusts are tools specifically designed to shield assets from creditors, and they set aside assets solely for the enjoyment of the trust beneficiaries. So the provisions state that opponents cannot seize assets held therein to satisfy a judgment. Now here's the important part. The trust must be properly established. They must also be in a jurisdiction that has asset protection trust laws. And finally, you must have a true third-party trustee. You must hold assets inside the trust for a specified amount of time before the full asset protection benefits kick in. Now, there are domestic asset protection trust laws in Nevada, Wyoming, and Alaska, to name a few. However, the actual case laws for domestic trusts are medium at best. U.S. judges have jurisdiction over U.S. assets. So we've seen the court seize assets from these trusts. Conversely, offshore asset protection trusts, such as the Cook Islands Trust and the Nevis Trust, have quite respectable track records. In fact, we have never seen a client lose assets inside of a properly structured Cook Islands Trust that we've established. Furthermore, we have set up over 1,500 trusts. So when you compare domestic versus offshore trusts, the case law history behind them, you will see that the offshore wins hands down. They are simply more effective at protecting assets. A qualified personal residence trust, or QPRT, is a type of irrevocable living trust. It can own primary residences and second homes. Professionals design them to protect the home from lawsuits and to reduce the amount of gift and estate tax incurred when transferring assets to beneficiaries. The trust holds the home, the owners can continue to live in the home, and after a specified time, the homeowners lease the home back from the eventual trust beneficiaries. Now, the beneficiaries are usually the children of the settlers. Now, the downside is those who place the home into the trust cannot sell the home. So if you choose this option, be sure it is a home you want to live in for the rest of your life. Now, living trusts are instruments designed to transfer assets after you pass and not protect assets when you're alive. So they're somewhat similar to wills in this regard. But unlike wills, they can protect assets from probate and death taxes. Another difference is that they can prevent courts from controlling your assets if you should become incapacitated or die. Offshore asset protection services. A handful of foreign countries offer some of the strongest personal financial protection laws in existence. Countries such as the Cook Islands and Nevis crafted legal statutes meant to offer foreign investors safe harbor for their assets. Now, these jurisdictions are financial havens that protect assets from debtors' local court rulings. Offshore asset protection services in these regions offer some of the most protective legal instruments in the world. Plus, they possess track records backed by years of case law. Offshore corporations and LLC formation, as we discussed earlier, is a fast and cost-effective way to provide immediate financial security. What's more is, these tools offer substantial protection and control over assets encumbered in a service plan. Above all, when combined with an offshore bank account, these tools can keep assets out of reach of your local plaintiff's attorney. Let's talk about offshore banking. The safest and most secure financial institutions are not in the United States, not by a long shot. Switzerland and other conservative European countries, as well as many in Asia, Canada, and Australia, offer much safer banking options. Additionally, there are many small offshore banking havens that provide foreign investors respectable privacy laws and international investment opportunities. Most of these banks require establishment of new accounts through an eligible introducer to streamline the application process. And this is a service that we provide on a daily basis. The offshore trust we discussed earlier is the most powerful legal tool for liquid assets. Therefore, it is the way to go for somebody who has sizable bank or investment accounts. It is the cornerstone of a judgment-proof asset protection service plan. It separates asset control from one's home legal jurisdiction and puts assets into a legal system that do not recognize foreign court orders. Thus, many experts agree that an offshore asset protection trust is the strongest legal asset protection tool in the world. In fact, our organization, I believe, forms more offshore trusts than any firm worldwide. So what's the worst thing that can possibly happen if you set up an asset protection structure? Let's say you win the lawsuit and they don't take all of your assets. Honestly, is the small cost of protecting yourself going to put you in the poorhouse? Honestly. And since plaintiffs win about 60% of the time, the odds are not in your favor. So let's say that your opponent does win. And instead of freezing and seizing all of your assets, you set up this plan and you don't lose a dime. You'll be very, very thankful you did this now, won't you? Exactly. It's not going to make you poor. And when you protect yourself, you'll keep everything you work so hard for. And not only that, but you protect what your assets could be worth in the future. Plus, what this setup will also do is protect yourself from lawsuits down the road. Plus, it has estate planning built in, so your heirs inherit your wealth after you're gone. On top of that, what's going to happen if you do nothing at all? If you don't take action to fix this problem, you could end up sleeping under a bridge drinking wine out of a paper bag. But right now, you likely have a small window of opportunity to protect yourself and give yourself a life of financial freedom and let you sleep like a baby. And that's what asset protection is all about anyway, peace of mind, right? And you don't get that peace of mind by head scratching. You get that peace of mind by actually crossing the finish line and setting up the legal tools and putting your assets into them. Creating an asset protection plan is a task that mandates professional guidance. So our experienced attorneys and consultants can make assessments to factor in all of the variables that an individual needs and wants. These legal structures and business entities each have performance characteristics that are suitable for different types of assets and values. Typically, we incorporate multiple legal tools for maximum protection. For example, we place corporations inside of LLCs. Land trusts own real property for privacy of ownership. In turn, the LLCs are the beneficiaries of the land trust for asset protection and lawsuit protection. Furthermore, we place liquid assets in LLCs housed inside of asset protection trusts for maximum asset protection. And as discussed earlier, we form the entities domestically or internationally, depending on the need and the client desire. Then we assist clients in establishing secure bank and/or investment accounts that provide the right balance of safety and convenience. So give us a call or fill out a free consultation form on our website at assetprotectionplanners.com. Please click like, subscribe, and text a link of this video to others. Thanks for watching. This is The Business Guy.